The topic of this video is on piecewise functions. More specifically, we will figure out how to find x-intercepts, y-intercepts, domain, range, and also how to sketch a graph. The basic definition of a piecewise function is a written of multiple subfunctions that each apply to a certain interval or input. Let's start off with a basic equation first. Y equals to the following. Y equals 1 if x is less than or equal to -1, and also y equals -1 if x is greater than -1. Let's start off with the beginning piece. So looking at our y coordinate, that being the vertical axis, we will have to find where 1 lies. 1 lies right over here. So let's graph it. Since it gives us no other part for the equation, this would just look like a straight horizontal line crossing the y-axis and no x-axis, like this. We also have to note for the second part, x is less than or equal to -1. This would mean that everything on the left side, since x is less than, would have to be there. Rather, everything on the right side would have to be gone since it's less than. Since -1 on the x-axis lies right over here, everything to the right of it would have to be gone. Let's do this. Our new equation, our new graph would look like this. We also have to note that x is less than or equal to. This equal sign would mean this would have to be a closed circle, like this. Now that we're done with the first part, let's see how the second part would look like. Y equals -1 if x is greater than -1. We know that -1 on the y-axis lies right over here. So let's draw a similar horizontal line to last time. Then looking at the second part, since x is greater than -1, everything on the right side of -1 would have to be there, and everything on the left side of -1 would be gone. Our new graph would look something like this. Alright, we also have to note that since this is not equal to, it does not have this thing, it would be an open circle, like this. This is how our graph would look like. In a test or maybe problem equations that we be given to, you will also be asked for many other things, like x-intercepts, y-intercepts, domain, and even range. So with this graph, let's figure that out. Alright, we could make an area for this. Alright, we can start off by figuring out what the x-intercepts are. X-intercepts for this graph would seem like anything that crosses the x-axis. We could obviously see that no part of the lines cross this area, meaning there are none. Or NA. Let's go on to finding the y-ends. We could obviously see that on the y-axis, our line crosses one point, that being this part. This part would be -1, so our format of this would look like 0, -1, since this defines x and this defines y. Now let's find the domain. When you're finding out the domain, you only have to think about everything going horizontally. We could see that this is continuous as well as this. There are no limitations. So this would mean that x goes all the way to negative infinity, and on the right side it goes all the way to infinity, meaning the domain of this graph is negative infinity, comma, infinity. Now let's figure out the range. Similar to figuring out the domain, we have to look at the y-axis. We can obviously see that this doesn't go on continuously, as there is a stoppage point right over here, and also stoppage point right over here. We have to look at these points. This is 1, and this is -1. This would mean that our range is -1, 1, going from lowest to highest. And finally, you figure out how to solve everything for piecewise functions.